Alright guys, as you see by the title, I got a new vehicle. This is a 1994 Toyota pickup. It's got the 22RE and the manual transmission, the W55. It's got about 163, almost 164,000 miles on it. And yeah, I got this thing about a year and 2 weeks ago. So early March, I think March 10th of last year. I haven't posted any videos on it because I had some issues I had to get sorted out, but all those are sorted out now. In the meantime, I've been driving it and doing stuff to it. I got a backlog of a handful of videos on stuff that I've done. This is not what it looked like when I had it. I'll pop up some pictures while I'm talking about what it looked like when I had it, when I first got it. But yeah, I got this, like I said, about a year and 2 weeks ago. And if you know what happened around then, you know gas prices skyrocketed. And driving the Ram, I put mid-grade in that thing because it is recommended to put mid-grade with the Hemis. Even though you can put regular, I like to put mid-grade in it. That's just a personal preference of mine. And it's also got a 26-gallon gas tank, so I was putting over $100 in it every time I filled it up, and it was getting pretty old. I wasn't struggling or anything, but you know, that $100 every fill up was not feeling good. So went out. I wanted to find a gas saver. I was looking between a little Toyota pickup like this, the Mazda D21s, and the Nissan D21s and the Mazda B2200s. I was turned off from the Mazda B2200 fairly early because I knew a buddy that had one, and also a buddy before that, which sold it to him. They had it for a while. You know, it was a good little truck, but there's just so many small pieces of that truck that you can't get anymore. One of them is the drive shaft. It's a non-replaceable U-joints, and they went through like multiple used drive shafts in that truck. And just talking to him, he said it wasn't worth getting one. And I was turned off from the D21s from other people about how they're not really that reliable. So my buddy, which had the B2200, also has a little Mazda pickup he got from his grandfather, and he loves it. So I went ahead and picked this up. I average around 25 miles a gallon, and it's got a 13-gallon tank. So I rarely put over, $35 in this thing. So it's good, and it's a manual, and I've always wanted a little manual pickup or car or something. I've just always wanted a manual. I wish that thing right there was a manual, but of course it's not. Otherwise, I wouldn't need another pickup because that thing would get better gas mileage than it is now, which that thing only gets about as much gas mileage as the Dodge does, so that's not good. Yeah, I'll just walk around it real quick. Again, this isn't what it looked like, but I'll have videos coming out later on. I just did an alignment on it today because I bought a steering wheel for it, so I'm going to put that on. But I got some LED lights on it. I put some clear marker lights and all that stuff on it. The bumpers and stuff are all new. Grill's new. The rear bumper's new. This thing has been in a wreck, and the frame is slightly kinked in the back, right above the rear driver wheel. But again, like I said, I did an alignment today, and the as far as forward to rear, as far as lateral, it's not that far off. It's only like a degree or two off, so it's actually not that bad. Plus, it's not terrible. It's not a bad kink. And whenever me and my friend get together, I can get this thing on the alignment machine and get it straightened. But I also need to replace that rear hanger shackle because it's also kinked sideways. But yeah, as I've put about 7,000 miles on this thing since I've had it. Right here you can see where it's kinked a little bit, how it's down in the back. Again, it drives straight, especially now that I put the alignment on it. I still need to replace like the center link, and I need to rebuild the idler arm, but it drives almost true. It does have some cancer in it, But that's a very common issue with these trucks. Even down south, like this truck has been all its life down south, it still has some cancer. It needs a rocker panel. You could probably save the, well, it needs the cab corner. You could probably save the rocker panel. That's something I'll have to look into. The interior's changed. This did not come with bucket seats, and it did not come with a console. The bucket seats I got from a Scion TC. I have a video on that whenever I release it. Center console, I pulled one from the junkyard, but I ended up just buying them off eBay because I could get the actual manual boot cover and I'll have to modify an auto. And I got the double console and not the little short one. There were some dash pieces that were missing that I added. I put a tilt steering wheel in it, a tilt column, which it didn't have. I recently just went through and replaced all 4 lock cylinders, the doors, the fuel door, and the ignition. I replaced all those, so now I have all those matching. It's got the 4Runner gauge cluster, so I got the RPM and all the, they're not dummy lights anymore, they're actually gauges. I put the tint on it, it's 5%. I actually did it myself, and honestly, I didn't do too bad of a job. I had somebody at work help me. There is, things here and there, and, dots and everything, and especially the brow, there's a lot of creases in it, but you can't really tell from the outside. That's new because that was cracked when I had it. The toolbox came with the truck. These wheels came with the truck. I redid the exhaust not too long ago. I didn't do a video on it, but the muffler was rotted off right at the end. The tailpipe was, and it was kind of making noise and rattling on the inside, so I just put a cherry bomb muffler on it and then just put it out and put it down to the side. I'm not too fond of these wheels. The brand is fine, but I'm not too fond of the gold. It doesn't look terrible, but I'm just not too fond of it on this truck. Maybe if it was darker, like a bronze, it might be fine. But I found another set of wheels I really want. Same brand, but the color is almost matching the truck, so that's pretty cool. Again, like I said, this bumper's new. You can see more of the damage back here, how it's kind of tilted, and how that's all pushed in. Tail lights I put in not too long ago. I did put helper bags in the back, so it's got the Monroe air shocks in the back. I did that because the shocks that were in it were gone, and one of them broke the first time when I got it back to the house and I flushed the cooling system. I took it on a test drive right before I was going to drive it for the first time, and I had a shock fall off, and just went down and got some standard shocks from the auto parts store, and it rode really, really rough, unbearably rough. So I got those air shocks in the back, and it rides smooth, really smooth. This thing, you can kind of tell it's had different mirrors on it, but these are the 4Runner mirrors, or the upper class mirrors. You can go ahead and show the engine. One thing I wish I would have done before I have a new hood cable, but I forgot to put it on before I put the grill on, and you have to take the bumper off to take the grill off. Is it my first time? And here it is. The 22RE. The main issues with this motor are the head gaskets and the timing chains. And like I said, somebody's already redone the timing chains. I think they might have blew a head gasket at one point. Don't know yet. But when they did the timing chains, they kept the factory guides. That is a huge no on this motor. They make upgraded steel timing chains, or timing chain guides, that I'm going to have to tear into the motor and change the timing chain with a reputable Japanese brand timing set with the metal guides. I don't know if that's just an auto parts store timing chain set or not, but that is something I need to replace sooner rather than later. Because once the guide breaks, you start rubbing a hole either through the timing cover or through the water pump housing, which goes through the timing cover. So you get all sorts of issues, plus metal throughout the motor. I did the tune-up on this thing. Also, when I first got this thing, it had no AC. And not too big of an issue, but it also had no power steering. The no power steering would have been fine if it didn't have these 17 by 8.5 inch wheels on it. If it had the factory 14 by 180 something, 190 something wheels that are supposed to come on at factory, it would be fine. But it was a bear to drive this thing without power steering. So I broke down and bought power steering and AC before I even drove this thing, other than up and down the street. So it's got an AC system that I hobbled together from both R12 and 134 systems. And then it's got a full power steering kit that I bought off eBay. The only thing I had to buy was this intermediate shaft, because it is different between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, or for power steering. The power steering between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is different, and the two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive manuals are different. So if you find one specifically for power steering, and then it's for an auto, they're way, or two-wheel drive, they're, you know, a lot more premium. So I found this one that I just bought because I saw what it looked like. It was actually a four-wheel drive, but I was able to take off the U-joint at the end and everything worked. And go and crank it. Turn the AC off so it doesn't high idle. Yeah, 163, 279, and I just filled up with gas today. I almost forgot. Something else that I've changed is this multi-function switch. Common problem is the high beams do not work, and I had that problem, so I spent quite a bit of money, extra money, to get an OEM with the intermediate wipers, because this thing only had off, low, and high. So now I got intermediate wipers, which is nice, really nice. But yeah, manual transmission. It feels pretty good. Sometimes when I'm downshifting and going into third, it likes to, you know, it doesn't grind, but you can feel it not really wanting to go in very well. Just kind of clunks in sometimes. So I mean, it's got 163,000 miles on it, but yeah. Got some DRLs. I got a video on that also. But yeah, that's my new vehicle, and I'm enjoying it. Pretty nice. Now, like I said, I've wanted a manual for quite a while, and these Toyota pickups are nice. Might have paid a little bit too much money for it, but overall, these trucks hold their value because it's a Toyota. And these, you know, even the older Tacomas, but these, you know, 5th gen, 4th gen, 80s, 90s model pickups are also, you know, shooting up in value and holding their values because they're Toyotas, and it's got a 22 RE. So, yeah. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.